This is Hunt Nebraska, the official podcast for insight into Nebraska's hunting and shooting sports community. Be sure to give us a follow on Facebook, our space for sharing stories, information, tips, and techniques. Now, Hunt Nebraska.
Folks, you are joining us on an interesting day here at the Hunt Nebraska cabin. We are all giddy. There's rain on the horizon, which hasn't happened a whole bunch here in this side of Nebraska for some time, so we're willing to take it. We are in the glorious month of October, just living the good life, and it's only going to get better from here. As you know, if you're watching us on YouTube, we appreciate that, but you've already seen that we got the Jeff Rawlinson, the Hunter Nikolai, both with Nebraska Game and Park, and our good buddy Michael from the National Wild Turkey Federation. I'm just Hershey. We are here to celebrate what is happening in all things. I mean, hunter education's just got to be just going great guns right now, Hunter.
It's going. There's classes chugging along, just getting started, some finishing up, but October is definitely the peak.
This is the time.
Peak time of the year for folks to get it. And a lot of them, those that wanted to hunt earlier in the year or some of the current seasons have got it done. Those that are getting ready for the firearm deer season, which is a big bulk of Nebraskans, are getting into classes and getting it done too.
So are you getting into the routine? So even when Tammy calls, you just say, hey, head to outdoornebraska.gov or huntsafenebraska.org, and you'll find classes there. And if you don't find what you want, dear, just sign up for the email reminder when it happens within your county.
How's that go?
By the time they call you, I think they're past the website for the most part. So I try to help them where I can. But,
especially when Tammy calls. That's probably
the website's a good first check. Yeah, Tammy. She's like, I already been to the website.
If I don't have a special conversation with the coordinator, she's probably going to be upset if she doesn't get
I just wanted to know, did you want chicken or beef tacos, dear? Yeah. That's it. We don't need the website.
Scroll down on the website.
So what's the most common question right now that you're getting about hunter education?
Most common question right now is folks trying to access their hunter ed certificate in our new permit system because it looks new. So
they've already earned.
That they've already earned. Yep, they've done it. They've either done it previously or here recently, and are trying to get in and access it. And it's a new system. Looks a little bit different. Got to look in a different spot than usual, but it is in your permit profile once you do get logged in and all set. And if it's not, let us know and we'll fix it for you. So.
Most unique question you've been asked this week.
Most unique question. Most unique question. Probably getting a lot of site specific WMA regulation questions on what parts of this WMA can I hunt and can I use this equipment there. I'd probably say some of those ones.
I was going to say, you get a lot of the general hunting questions anymore are coming to you. You're starting to get a lot more general hunting questions.
Yeah, general.
Yeah.
Pretty general stuff. But people, more specific. General and specific, I think they're probably about even. But I think the specific ones are usually where our regulations are a little complex, so they need to find the spot to find the information, and it's kind of hidden, or you got to dig a little bit deeper in our website.
But a lot of those are going to you still, whereas, in the past, I think they've gone to other folks throughout the agency. You must be answering them.
I was going to say, they probably see that I'm not sending them back to them, so they're,
Hunter's working. Education, that's what they're looking for.
Well, you'll learn pretty quick, too.
It's a great way
you need to know.
Yes,
I was going to say double jeopardy, right? Because if you're looking for a hunter ed question, if it goes to the main switchboard, you're going to say, all right, who's in charge of hunter education? Well, right here. And they send them to you. And then others, they're talking about hunting. They're talking about hunting. We got a hunting question right here. Who more logical to send it to than Hunter? Right there. It's just like
Hunter with Hunter Ed. It's kind of a
and then
Mr. Crankbait over in Fisheries gets all the fishing questions.
Yeah, and then when it's too complex for me or they want more area-specific stuff or conditions, and I send them to the local game warden or local biologist in those scenarios.
You're just too efficient.
They've got
You're right.
They've got the means to know more of that local stuff than I do here.
You're just doing that to keep them in the loop. You're just like, I'll let them have one.
You got a hunter coming your way.
Or sometimes
might start sending them to Jeff.
Yeah. Sometimes they call me looking for Hunter, and then I'm I'm not Hunter. I'm Michael.
That's where
Hunter's right down the hall.
That's where you gotta start answering the questions though and acting like you're Hunter.
I've got a Hunter for Hunter on line 1, and I'm like, I got to think about that for a little bit. Got a Hunter for Hunter has a question about Hunter Ed. It just gets complicated after a while.
Well, people like talking to people. That's
true.
When I call a phone number, I want to talk to somebody. I don't want to get an automation or go visit this website, because if I'm calling you, I probably already tried to find the information online and I didn't. Yeah. So
have you checked it out? Maybe your phone number actually spells out Hunter on it.
Could be
71 Hunter or 7
That's
Hunter.
deep.
Wow,
that's deep.
No, but it's funny because I picked up a couple new. Well, they're started the process of becoming instructors for folks that have called with non-hunter education related questions. Then we get to chatting about hunter education and
there you go,
classes and
upsold them.
I've thought about being an instructor before. What do I need to do? So that's
pretty cool.
There's been a couple of those in the past few weeks.
All right, always be closing. Yeah,
smart guy.
That's pretty good. What about you other guys? You guys have been wrapped up in football and other things. Been out hunting yet?
Work. I've been traveling. I have been out of town off and on for the
You've
last
traveled
couple weeks.
some beautiful hunting areas.
Oh my gosh.
And through and past and stayed.
No
in some.
excuse, really. No excuse, right? I mean, I've been up to Banff, or right outside the east of Banff, for the Association of Fish and Wildlife
up in Canada.
Meeting, up in Canada. I got back. I had a couple days home, and then I left to go to the
extradition. That's what we call it.
Extradition. Then I left to go to the. And a program that I just absolutely am so enthralled with. I absolutely adore it. It's called the Nebraska's Becoming an Outdoors Woman program. And we do this every year. Of course, you were there with me, Hershey, but we do this every year. Now our home is Fort Robinson State Park, where we invite about 110 gals to come out. And these ladies, all adults that have an interest in some level of outdoors, hunting, fishing, shooting sports, camping, wildlife viewing, kayaking, outdoor cooking, list goes on and on. And they participate in 4 different learn shops throughout the weekend, Friday evening, Saturday, and then Sunday morning. And we just have a blast. We absolutely have a blast. Incredible coordination team. We've got Tiffany Gerber in our engineering division that helps to coordinate that. Julie Geiser, one of our public information officers, and our very own Julia Plugi. And those 3, I'll tell you right now, I'd put those 3 against any coordination team in the country when it comes to BOW. They rock. And we had a great program. Great program. Another one.
Oh, that's cool. Michael, what have you been doing then?
Oh, I've been around the state a couple different places. Had an NWTF tailgate in Arlington. That I've been
a tailgate?
Yeah, kind of. More like a gathering of folks at the Vets Club. So
sounds like a tailgate to me.
Watch the Husker game.
Was there food involved?
There was bar food involved. Yeah.
Was there some football?
There was football. Not very good football, but football.
Was this for the Michigan game?
It was, yes. It was for the Michigan game. The place was cleared out by halfway through the third quarter.
There are a lot of teams that have that same reaction to playing Michigan.
This year they're pretty good.
They don't suck. Let's put it that way.
They don't suck. And then that next day after, I was in Grand Island for some NWTF business, and that's about the extent of my traveling here.
And
recently.
You had a Jake's Day somewhere.
Yes, yeah. Great. Couple weeks ago, had a Jake's Day out in Grand Island.
How'd that go?
It went well. Had about 20 to 30 kids or so out there. They were shooting rifles, 223 rifles, 9mm carbines, shooting some archery. I was told by a few folks that archery was their favorite station that they went to. So
were you at archery?
I was.
I
was on the archery range. Had a helper from the local chapter as well out there helping me out, and a few of the parents were helping out where they could too. Bird dogs, they were learning, how bird dogs are trained, and some kayaking. They did some kayaking, and then also water balloons. And they gave away a couple of lifetime hunt permits, and also got a few kids out. Going to get some out for a youth pheasant hunt here next weekend.
Very cool.
I feel like I've been slacking now.
Well, we've been talking, but we didn't say anything. But going back to water balloons, what's the water balloons portion of that?
They had some 3D targets, set up some geese and a couple of deer.
You shot water balloons,
and they apparently shot while I was tearing down the archery range when that was going on. But,
they have one of those big bungee like slingshots.
Yeah.
Oh,
so shoot the water balloon in the sky.
There you go.
With a shotgun.
No, they weren't shooting anything with shotgun. They were just slinging water balloons at the targets, I think.
Not
sure. Not
maybe
sure
for
what
the
all
youngins.
Yeah.
Jakes.
Yeah.
I had to look it up. Juniors acquiring knowledge, ethics, and sportsmanship. Right.
Yep. That's what Jake stands for.
One of the Wild Turkey Federation staple programs.
Yep. It is.
Now you had to look that up.
I had forgot what the S was.
It's not that long ago. He worked for the Turkey
Weren't
Federation.
you a fellow Jaker at one point?
Yeah, but it's a long acronym. That's kind of like our Apprentice Hunter Education Exemption Certificate.
You let that one roll right off the tongue. That was pretty good.
I've said it like 10 times this week. So.
Yeah, I bet you have.
And I've got to admit, it's kind of fun. You got to have a way to do that. I filled in for you on one of your TV shows not that long ago, and we were talking about the Pressy Silhouette Shoot, which is the Youth Small Bore Silhouette Invitational.
Should be a challenge.
Is that, did I say that right?
You got Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
You can't forget that.
And
Well,
thank goodness that Hunter, who coordinates that shoot, folks, gave me a hat. So I was able to lay that down right on the table in front of me. And they're like, "Oh, do you want to get it?" They moved up some pumpkins out of the way and stuff, some fall decorations. Like, no, I need this here. So I remember how to say it correctly, and I got through that by luck of the hat. We know it as the Pressy Silhouette shoot.
Yeah, it's been called the Pressy Silhouette Shoot since day one. And I noticed, Hershey, I appreciate you doing that. And I noticed when I got back there this week, I walked in the studio Tuesday morning, and the Vanderfords met me right there in the studio, right at the door, and they said, "Hi, oh, it's Jeff. Good to see you, Jeff." It kind of hurt. It took the wind right out of my sail. It really did.
Hey, Hershey,
Jeff.
Yeah.
And they did say after the end of the show, "Great job, Jeff. When will Hershey be back?" And I was like, "You guys are killing me here."
Oh, boy. So what we're going to do today, we're going to have a little bit of fun. This is something that actually grew out of some conversation there at the Becoming an Outdoors Women program, the BOW at Fort Robinson. As we started out with some chilly mornings out there in the high plains and in the very panhandle, Pine Ridge area of Nebraska. We dipped down, Jeff, just too freezing or right below.
Right,
we had frost on that Saturday morning. It was chilly. It took a little while.
I wore a jacket. Actually,
you
which
did.
Is rare for me.
You
to
did,
wear a jacket.
and you
I
let
did
the hair
hour.
go just a little bit to get a little fluff up.
Oh, I
there.
did.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
And as we were getting ready, Michael, with the little heaters that we had, just in case it got warm, so we could have some warming stations on our morning session, we started realizing those darn little things kind of changed the way we've hunted. Mm-hmm. Now, hunting over the years, still at the core is the same, right? You're still going out there for the fun. You're still going out there for a lot of different reasons, whether that's spending time in nature, spending time with family, the challenge, the sport, putting food in the freezer, whatever it might be. That's still at the core the same. But the way we go about it changes every now and then, and sometimes we don't realize what impacts those things we're having. But, folks, if you don't have one of these, and I'm going to bring this up here for our YouTube listeners, that Little Buddy propane heater. Now, there's a lot of folks that make that nowadays, Jeff. I've seen some different variations of it, but I no longer have to worry when I go deer hunting with a muzzleloader in December or late season in January about being too cold. To be quite honest with you,
these things.
You used to just grab a 5-gallon bucket, folks, maybe a cushion to put on top of that, and you sat down by a tree or a clump of brush or something like that, and you layered up as much as you could, and you tried to endure as much of the cold, and you knew it was coming at times, but you just tried to stay out there as long as you can. Now, you grab one of these things, light it up, and just that red glow just warms you up immediately. Now, there is no colder feeling than when you accidentally run out of propane and it just slowly fades, and you're thinking, "Oh man, it's 65 degrees. How am I going to survive this?"
I think there is a colder feeling in that. I think that colder feeling. You were on that trip with me years ago, and we're sitting around the campfire. And I'll never forget this as long as I live. We're down by Fort McPherson, by North Platte, and Hershy and I and some friends were sitting around the campfire, and it's cold. It's like -0 type cold. Yeah, and we're sitting around the campfire probably 10 o'clock at night. Of course, I got my pop-up camper over there. The heater's just going. You heard that thing just kicking on. And oh, God, it sounded so good. And we're sitting there, and it's probably 10, 11 o'clock having a good conversation, one of the better conversations we probably had, and just lamenting about, man, this fire feels so good. Oh, it's going to feel better in the camper even. And we're just about to get up and go in the camper and hear this thump and dead silence over at the camper. And I looked at Hershey, and Hershey looked at me, and I'm thinking to myself, that ain't good. And we get up and we go in the camper and go walk inside. It's totally no heat. I mean, the heater's it's still blowing cold air in there. So it totally, all the heat's gone in about a matter of seconds. We ran out of, we ran out of propane.
We ran out
and Hershey made sure to understand that was my doing. But that night, I'll never forget it. I took a bottle of water, just a regular plastic bottle of water. I always take it to bed with me when I go camping, in case I wake up cold and I want to drink something. I don't want to get out of the camp to bed because it's cold, so I always put one in there. That thing was by my head, and about 3 a.m, frozen solid. I went to get a drink, and it was frozen solid. That's how cold it was.
It was cold. I think we had a little heat for a while, thanks to one of these. One of us had a Little Buddy heater, but only a couple hours of heat, just enough to get to sleep. But that's the beauty. I mean, this thing here has an oxygen sensor, so you can use it in an enclosed area. I know growing up, there were some of those infrared sunbeam style Mr. Heater, just kind of sunflowers is what they'd oftentimes call them, that you put them on top of a bulk propane tank. But these that you can use in enclosed areas, whether it's a camper, whether it's a ground blind or something along those lines. Man, love them.
Oh, yeah.
We use them in a lot of our programs to really kind of change the idea that, all right, it's 15 degrees. Do we want to do this new hunter event? Well, yeah, we can because we got heat.
Yep. Duck blinds, we've got them in our duck blinds. We've got them in some of our tower blinds, deer hunting. Having a brother-in-law that's a carpenter is not a bad idea. He makes some decent deer blinds. And,
you need this?
Oh, yeah. Those are, of course, we insulate them and everything.
Part of that, think back, part of that evolution, too, is we hunt from more enclosed blinds, tower blinds, ground blinds, more, duck blinds, goose pits than we used to as well. I mean, the availability of those types of things allows you to contain that heat much more than you would have been able to before, too.
Absolutely does, but there's a point in life, and my brother-in-law and I met this point earlier than most, but there's just a point in life where you decide, I don't want to be cold anymore, right? And I can wear enough layers. But when a short fat kid puts on a lot of layers, he doesn't move very well, right? So it's not the easiest. After a while, you're like, okay, we're bulked up, but now we can't even hardly shoot. But being in a deer blind and in a cold and blazes outside, and being in there with a blaze orange sweatshirt and a blaze orange ball cap, now that isn't bad. That sets well with me. Sits just fine.
As long as you remember the propane. Refill. I'm sure you haven't forgot to refill that camper.
I have
propane.
never. In fact, we usually now when we go hunting, we've got another hunting trip coming up next week, and then 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, we got another one. But I've got more. I come home with more propane than I came. I mean, I bring tons of propane
Bulk
anymore.
propane and
I do every little gas station. Oh, hey, propane.
The 40-pound cylinder, 2 20-pounders, and a couple 5-pounders, just for good measure. We never ever worry about heat after that incident.
So we're going to look into other items, folks, that change the way we hunt, whether they're actually designed to help the hunt or just kind of things we've, as hunter, have adopted, because I think we're creative in not only using some products out there, but taking advantage of it to make ourselves just a little bit more comfortable or have a little bit more success. Now, I see that Hunter and Michael both have lists there, so I think we'll start there. Yours must be on your phone, Jeff.
Right.
Got to memorize.
Just got scarier.
So I got so many.
All right, we'll start. You got the brightest piece of paper there, Hunter. So where do you want to begin?
Yeah. I was trying to think of things that I've taken advantage of. Things that have come along the way, and I think the one that really has evolved over even the past 10, 15 years is GPS systems and satellite imagery use for hunting purposes. And, I remember as a kid, buying the upgraded chips for your GPS systems and using those as your tracking device and where you're going in and out, and how now that's in your pocket. And there's several different applications that you can download to do that same thing. OnX, Hunt Stand, you name it, Google Earth. There's a lot of different, our own public access atlas and our online version of that, which we put forth every year. Those are tools that are absolutely not only beneficial to, scouting digitally, seeing satellite imagery, other things like that some of those layers you can see, scout a whole property before you even go out to it to identify, is that even worth looking at, or going out to get the boots on the ground to seeing, nowadays public access where you can go find a spot to hunt that might not be private, or private that's open to public hunting. So it's just incredible how that has evolved over the past 15 years. And even in my short hunting career, how that's evolved and become a game changer for how I plan for my hunt and execute my hunt.
That's an excellent point. Ironically, just last week, Michael, I found this 3-ring binder downstairs, and I was wondering what the heck's in here. I opened it up, and it was computer printouts of some of the places that I've hunted, whether they're public ground or private ground that I had access to at the time. And I think it came off of like Google Earth or something like that. That was about the only thing right then and there that had satellite photos. And I'd go in with a highlighter and kind of mark the boundaries from what I knew from the plat book that had a hard copy of that as well. And back then, that was pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, folks were looking at, what does this look like from above? And you'd be able to show them, because before that, you had to burn the boot leather. You knew what it looked like from all the parking spots or from the roads around it, but that was it. And then if you had a topography map, you could kind of look at that and get an idea. But until you were out there, sometimes that topography is kind of abstract to a lot of us. But that was cool. People were oohing and ahhing over that, and now I'm just like, I'm never using this again.
Yeah.
I got this in my pocket.
You
now.
see
I don't
them.
have to
You
worry
see
about
those framed as it's nostalgic now.
Yeah.
There's our hunt camp. That's where we hunt. But
Good
now
point.
I didn't want to. That kind of. I don't recall ever using them. I think that might have even been really before I started gotten hunting, where a lot of those companies that have evolved to be the online GPS mapping used to. You could order your printout, and I don't think I ever did that, but I've certainly seen it.
And this would have helped me quite a bit, Jeff, because I know as a youngster there were times I would park here or get dropped off here and kind of go exploring, and I felt I was getting into those spots of the woods or in the fields that no person had been there since just after Columbus arrived in the New World. I was brand new, and then all of a sudden it's like boom, I run into a road. And it just I just walked from one section to the other. And nowadays you can kind of see that on the map. Like, all right, I'm not going there because I'm just walking towards more people or more access. But that's pretty cool. That definitely has changed.
Well, now it's like on X has a feature where you can look at recent satellite imagery. So you can see what, like, over time. So, like, you get a view of, on the map, your regular satellite image might be a couple years old. Well, you can get, here's what it looked like a month ago. Here's what it looked like 2 weeks ago. So you can see, they planted something in there, or some trees been cut out, or things like that. So it's even still continuing to evolve.
It's like we all know. Right now, the woods with all the leaves still on it looks a lot different than it will here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
And depending on when that satellite imagery was taken, it's just like there's nothing there, and you walk out and it's like, oh man, where did all these trees come from? Or vice versa. Man, this looked really dense and whatnot. There had been a lot of trees, and like, oh, it's all these bushes that aren't that tall. So that's a good one. I like that one.
In that same regard, I saw here recently one of the major applications for Hunt XS release some new, or they're going to be releasing new technologies that allows you to connect your cell camera footage directly to your app where that photos are taking place. So you kind of integrate your cell cameras to your access and where those cameras are in the landscape.
See, they're talking about technology now, folks, that would do me no good even if I did have it. So, I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay.
Ooh, this neat. How it works? I don't know. Throw your phone.
Not quite that bad, but close. Being the elder of the group, I can say that. But wow, that's pretty cool.
All right, Jeff. Got a list all of a sudden.
Hell yeah! I told you I had a list all up here. Now it's on my digital calculating device.
It's on your satellite imagery.
Satellite imagery device here.
Yeah.
There you go.
I could go with. There's a ton of things that I would say.
So pick one.
What's the question now? What a device or something that
has changed the way you hunt.
Okay, now this is absolutely true for me. Used to be when I'd go hunting. A rest was something that you would make out of a piece of wood or as a fence post, and you'd set a gun on a fence post. Now, when I started handgun hunting, a rest never became more important than it did right then and there. And so for me, the evolution of gun rests and shooting rests has absolutely changed the way we hunt. We wouldn't even have dreamed of hunting deer long range, long distances back in the day with just a stick and a little lever on it, or even just a yoke. But rest today, these tripods that actually cradle the gun or help hold the gun steady, they're a little heavier, but man, you put them in a blind in a sitting on the ground type situation, the shots you can easily make, rifle hunter or pistol hunter. But for me, it's absolutely changed the way we deer hunt with pistols, because we don't think in terms of 50 yards anymore. We think well beyond that with these new rests.
Now, Hunter, you and I had some similarities in where we grew up and cut our teeth on deer and the way they were hunted. Rests are something we really didn't think about. We were a shotgun only state.
Yeah. I didn't use a rest growing up, but I know, in my experiences using some of the modern rests now, and a lot of the mentor programs we do and our partners do, and even especially for youth, the confidence a rest can build for the heavy gun or the jitters that you get when you're about to pull the trigger. I mean, there's just that stability that you wouldn't have, and build that confidence not only for youth. They can obviously be used for lots of different applications, handgun hunting.
Well, the handgun hunter, it's doubly as important, because again, you're talking some of these handguns like a contender pistol with a 15-inch barrel. It's about a 4 or 5 pound pistol. You're not just holding that out and shooting it. You've got to rest that thing, or else there's no way. But once you rest it, now all of a sudden you're talking shots much like a rifle. I mean, similar distances.
In one area, I didn't give much thought to using rests, Michael, but now if I've got a new or younger hunter, kind of put it in the same breath, I'll use them turkey hunting.
Yeah.
Because it just, like you said, holding up that 6-7 pound gun isn't something that we do every day. And to have to hold it up for a few minutes at a time can feel like an eternity as that bird's getting closer, and especially in the spring as the turkey's gobbling and strutting and all that type of stuff, and the excitement and the adrenaline, and you don't realize how much you shake. But you get it up on one of those quick and easy either bipods or tripods, you're just like, wow, this is steady. It's holding part of the weight, so you don't have to do it. But also it just allows that shotgun to be just a little bit more like a rifle shot than what we would do bird hunting. So I've seen that used in our programs a little bit more. In fact, out of our Hunt Master trailer that we have, folks, it has all sorts of different things to help on these new hunter events. The rests are probably one of the first things gone. People are asking, can I borrow this one? Can I use that one?
Yeah.
And that type of stuff. You're right. That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, Michael, your turn.
So at the top of my list, I've got one of those lounge chairs, maybe most often associated with turkey hunting.
Jeff, I think associates it now with snow goose.
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
Change
yeah,
the way we snow goose hunt. Those little ground. You
Those
sit down on the
little,
ground.
low to the ground,
God,
ground chairs. I call them turkey loungers.
You can sleep for an entire goose hunt in one of those things, and
you can get a pretty good. You can get a pretty good afternoon or early morning turkey hunting nap in too. But the thing I like the most about them is it allows me to be a lot more mobile with my hunting. I don't. Instead of hunting and mobile and comfortable, because you can always go sit from tree to tree, but after you sit they're under a tree for an hour and a half, you start getting a little sore and you want to get up.
They keep your butt from falling asleep. And you might
both
fall asleep,
cheeks.
but
they keep
your legs
both
are
cheeks
good.
awake.
That's right.
And I think that
And
should have
warmer.
been part of the turkey hunting experience, part of the rite of passage, because I remember those cushions that they first started out with were kind of, rejected from the pillow company by being too soft. You'd put them under your cheeks, and pretty soon you can count the grass blades underneath it, just like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
But it always kind of surprised me how science is your leg or foot goes to sleep, and we've all had that happen. And it feels like it's not even part of you anymore. But when your behind goes to sleep, I mean, you can. Oh, there's a bug. It's a ladybug. I mean, you can just feel anything and everything.
There's 5
shaking
ants
it, making
here.
a bunch of noise, trying to get blood flowing to it.
You're squeezing, you're clenching, unclenching, you're doing exercises.
Weird movements that you're hoping nobody can see, trying to get blood flow.
Especially the birds.
I'll say that those types of chairs and things have really opened up some of the more open turkey hunting areas because, as you go even west here in the state of Nebraska, a tree wide enough to hold you or wider than your shoulders, like we talk about in hunter education quite a bit, become a little bit harder to find. And some of those areas that have received a lot of grazing over the years, all of a sudden they've all got thorns on them. And I've taken some turkeys sitting in something like that, just up against a clump of prairie grass or a pile of yucca or what we call soapweed here in Nebraska. Just something different. It opens up a lot of opportunities.
Yep, you don't have to feel like you're confined to sitting, in one blind. If you're sitting in a blind for a couple hours in the morning and then you decide, you hear turkey 300 yards that way, or and you decide to sit in a very good spot anymore, you can get up and move and give yourself a lot more opportunities.
You don't fall flat on your face when you get up either because your cheeks are sleeping. Now,
we've seen that.
Oh God, yeah!
I got a turkey.
Gotta go get him. Done. I'm okay. I only hit my head. But anyway, the evolution was a pad, right? We had these pads that we'd sit on the ground. Then, of course, the vest had a pad that dropped down, which was really slick for turkey hunting. But the sling type seats you're talking about that kind of keep your butt about 3 inches off the ground, but it's in a sling, so it's just wow. Yeah.
Game changer.
I use them for turkey hunting and deer hunting. So.
Yeah.
And folks, that's what we're talking about here in the Hunt Nebraska cabin this week is game changers for hunting, things that have changed the way we hunted. One of the things I'm going to toss out right here, and I don't think this actually got started in the hunting world, but we grabbed a hold of it right away, the thermocell. Now, I don't know about you guys. When I first saw this, there had been all sorts of different contraptions designed to keep mosquitoes away and biting things and all that. I just thought this was another gimmick. I thought, well, that's neat, another way to spend money and not have any impact at all. I wish I would have started using this thing sooner during
I will
spring
not
turkey
go
hunts,
spring turkey hunting without it.
early season archery deer hunts, early
Amen.
teal season, right where those mosquitoes breed the most, fishing trips. These things are amazing. They work. They don't stink too bad. They don't scare deer. They're quiet. There's a scent to it, but deer haven't figured out that that's danger yet, Jeff.
Well, and on date night, that's a nice earthy scent. That sucker's beautiful smell. I don't think anybody
Only one on a date rather than
Yeah.
a bunch, huh?
So it sets the mood.
That
well.
sets the mood. I don't think anybody'd complain about it. But when we gave them, remember now, when we did the with the archery minnow program, remember we got those for the minners?
Yep.
And it was a hallelujah moment. Remember that? I mean, they were just like, these things work. You go down to creek bottom and you got all this mesh on and everything, and you know, click that thing on, and about 5 minutes later, you take the mesh off, you're good to go.
What did we do before this?
We swatted mosquitoes. We sprayed stuff all over us.
Yeah.
I've had more than one turkey hunt end because I just couldn't take the mosquitoes anymore.
Well, that's where I started smoking cigars and that, you know, so this is way better than that.
You can bring them on. I brought my thermocell all the way to Wisconsin on that flight.
They work out of state.
They work out of state. They can you can check them in a plane. It doesn't look like a explosive
Got
device.
less
Apparently,
than 3 ounces of butane in
But a
there.
lighter, they stop you dead in your
Right,
tracks.
yeah,
but
but-
one of these things, you're good to go, huh?
At least in your check baggage. I don't know about the carry-on.
If you could get one of these, figure out how to light a cigar with one of these. I think it'd be a pretty dynamite tool.
well, that grill gets pretty hot. I bet you could hold it up to
not
that
hot
grill.
enough, let me tell you. But I agree with you, Hershey. Game changer right here. Absolutely.
I'm a big fan, and folks, we're not sponsored by any of the products we're talking about.
Although we're
today.
open to it.
This is all from just experience. All
think
right, where do we go
a thermosol
next,
with
Hunter?
the
I think you were number 2.
All right, this one might be on the edge of your rules because I think you said no. You said no firearms or ammunition, but I'm gonna. It's not a firearm. At least it's not in our firearm hunter education curriculum anymore. A crossbow. I think the evolution of the crossbow, and I'm going to throw this one out there because I think it has implications far beyond. You know, there's always going to be the argument of your vertical bow hunters and your crossbow hunters, and how they're a lot different.
Shotgunners, rifle, flesher
But I
versus
think
pointing dog. Yeah.
The opportunity that crossbows provide, and also with time being one of the biggest, barriers to people getting out hunting, and really the more opportunities that crossbows provide, really the less preparation, time shooting and preparing, but still getting the opportunity to go hunt longer archery seasons has changed many states. They're not legal in all states yet, but they're legal in a lot of states now for hunting big game, and I think it really has. I mean, the numbers don't lie. We've got a lot of crossbow hunters, and it's only increasing, and the technology is changing even faster than some of the other areas we see. So I think, and as a fellow crossbow hunter myself too, I think it's provided me lots of opportunity to get out and more opportunities to hunt. So
that's a really cool point, and I'm gonna say this because I've got an opinion about everything, but I'm gonna say this when it comes to crossbows, there probably has not been a more polarizing element or tool in as many years, right? I mean, the crossbow is a pretty polarized. You're either kind of for them or you hate them, right? And there's not a lot in between, it seems like. Yeah, and I think most of Nebraska certainly has been for crossbows. I think then we've proven that it didn't have a huge impact on some of the negativity that we heard about it. We haven't seen that. But when we were doing the research on crossbows, one of the things we did was looked at other states, and Ohio had crossbows for about 10 years prior to us going to crossbows. And one of the things we learned from Ohio, I talked to their biologists and said, well, the main thing that they noticed with crossbows is the age of cessation for archery hunters got kicked back about 10 years when they went to crossbows, meaning it was about age, when a person quit bow hunting was about 55 years of age in Ohio, and after crossbows came in for about 10 years, they noticed that bump to about 65 years of age. And that kind of sold it for me, right, that our bow hunters, which we're a part of that, but our bow hunters felt like they could remain a bow hunter another 10 years because of health and other reasons. But what you said about making it just a little simpler, people don't have as much time, bingo. I think that's huge.
Definitely is a neat opportunity here in the state of Nebraska on a lot of different fronts. Jeff, what do you got?
Well, I tell you what, now this is going to be arguable. I'm sure somebody's going to argue with this, but I'm sitting here drinking out of it right now. Now I'll say Yeti. because everybody knows what I mean when I say Yeti, but the double wall insulated vacuum coolers and glasses have been huge game changers in hunting. Now we go out to the tall and uncut for 4 or 5 days, and you'd take a lesser cooler, and you were always trying to find ice and having to go into town to get ice if you want, or you're souping through the mess, and if you had meat in there as a bloody mess. Anyway, but I noticed that when we went to some of those heavier coolers like that now that we've had over the last 10 years or so, we don't worry about that. Throw some ice in there, throw our stuff, and we go. And also notice that, the days of guys coming to the duck blind with their old Stanley thermos jug full of water or full of coffee, I haven't seen that. Everybody brings their own big Yeti cup full of coffee. You shut the lid on it. Heck, they can fall over and they don't empty out. And that's what people are bringing to the blinds anymore. Is their Yeti or similar type? This is a Yukon, so I guess.
So you're covering the whole. You've got two things there: cooler,
double walled vacuum insulated cooler design things.
I mean, really, it's just a mini cooler, right, or mini heater.
Small bore invitation.
Red fire in the center.
Yeah, well, it's been a game changer.
Yeah.
You can hardly spill it, but I mean, you can hardly spill the darn things. They're just great.
I was one of those early on that was with the crowd and still kind of stick by it a little bit. Is you start thinking, especially with the coolers, right? Man, I could buy a lot of ice for how much more that cooler is compared to that one.
But you got to drive to town to buy it.
But as you go, you start. Well, this would be nice. This is kind of good because some of them don't slide across the bottom of your pickup bed or in your boat or what have you. They kind of quiet to keep things nice when you start justifying. Well, yeah, this is kind of nice where things stay frosty for a couple of days rather than, like you said, floating in water and all that type of stuff. But those cups, and I think the big beneficiaries of these type of cups is, first of all, they all started out looking the same, that same silver, so we had to customize them. I think the decal companies just overnight just all of a sudden started making a lot more money as we put decals, they're not stickers because that's what we had as a kid, on them, and until this day now, decals are a big thing on coolers and those cups.
Yep. And the technology on lids for these things has gotten to where they keep everything cold. They shut so that they can't spill. But I'm telling you right now, these have been a game changer, at least convenience wise. I think they've made it good. But I agree with you. Any other lesser cooler, you can buy a lot of ice for what it costs to buy one of those coolers. The problem is when you're out in the sand hills and Bassett, Nebraska is about an hour and 10 minutes away, that's about a morning of hunting that you're going to burn going to look for ice. Whereas with the coolers nowadays, you leave Lincoln, you come back to Lincoln, you still got ice in them. So I'm a fan.
I burn my mouth on mine every morning, so I am too.
Double-edged sword, right?
Also, as we'll say the tapered bottom, so they fit into your cup holders in your
Genius.
truck now.
Yeah.
Genius. They've evolved over time too.
How many of those we turn and so no.
Those ones that are still making the
huge,
the big ones. They might be going.
We've all been disappointed by that. We got this mug we really love when we get to our truck and
it doesn't fit. Oh no!
I'm sure you've devised some sort of device there. That made it fit.
WeatherTech makes those things that you stick in there and it's got a bigger mouth than
so it adjusts,
but it costs about $50 in an arm, maybe too.
Just save your receipts.
$100 into a mug.
Very big mug.
Got a mug and got my mug holder adapter, my mug charger.
Bluetooth mug.
Never mind. It was a bad idea.
I'm
Too
with
complicated.
You. The price is the only deterrent for me on some of the coolers.
I agree. They're not cheap. But man, oh man, when you're not driving a Bassett.
Probably do have some of these Yeti style cups that'll have Bluetooth speakers on them.
I guarantee you within the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeti? Play some music.
I'm pretty sure there's coolers that have Bluetooth speakers already integrated into them. So.
Yep, they do. All right, Michael, your turn.
So kind of going off my lounge chair and the idea of being you guys might have noticed, but I like being a mobile hunter. I don't like sitting in one spot all day.
But you do like sitting, I'm learning.
But yes, I do like sitting, just not in one spot. But the panel blinds, those ones that fold up and you can throw them in your vest or in a backpack, I like using those a lot too. If you're getting out and it's especially in an area where there's not a lot of cover, if you're sitting at the edge of a field or Can't get back in the woods very far because I've been on hunts where, the tree line behind you is full of like locust trees and briars and other.
Don't sit there.
Other stuff. Yeah, no, I'm not going to sit in there. So I'm going to set up my chair at the edge of the field and then put a panel blind out or something. Just helps provide a little bit of extra cover, and it's it's a great tool to use. It allows you to sit in a few more places too.
There you go. Good stuff.
We've had panel blinds for years, but it just seems like the ones today are so much more convenient. They open up easier and they stay put when you put them in there.
Yeah, pack a little better.
And they blend in a little bit better.
Yeah, better camo.
Yeah,
I've had some that you take out there and it just like, man, I stick out more now with this thing around me than I did before.
Yeah,
I mean, real angular and just sharp edges, and the camo and the stuff doesn't even match. I'm not sure where it matches.
Well, has anybody used those reflective glass type panel blinds? Those really intrigue the heck out of me.
I've never used them, but I've seen them.
I just feel like I'd be sitting behind this big reflective thing, and it just drives me nuts, thinking it's just got to be like a big beacon. But the reality of it is, if everything you looking in, it just looks like it's looking at the natural terrain, it probably works pretty good.
Our good buddy Rick Wyndham out in North Platte has one of those, and he swears by it. He just acts like he's invisible. Now, I think that for some of us, not me necessarily, but for some of us, it'd be too hard of a temptation not to look at your hair and see it, make sure your hat's on right and all that type of stuff, which doesn't help the hunter.
It's on the backside. It's not on the inside.
Okay.
The inside.
Well, yeah, that's right. You got to go
set it up the right way.
Hershey's over there on the front side of the blind doing his hair.
Wait a sec. There's 6 of me.
I just
Turkey.
Who are you? You don't have permission to hunt here. Only I do.
That would be interesting to see if a tom turkey, because there's only a couple of animals, wild animals, that actually recognize a reflection, we're told. Turkey's not one of them. It'd be interesting if a turkey is ever attacked one of those blinds, seeing another turkey. They do attack windows.
I was going to say, I remember when I was an office out at the Exarban Aquarium, and we had turkeys just running around everywhere out there, and you'd be sitting in your office with your back to the window, so clunk, and you look back, and there'd be a turkey out there just staring at his reflection, jumping up and smacking the window. And big turkeys, I mean, big, long, old beards, the kind of big, long beards that they just have jakes carrying their beard behind them. I mean, huge, dominant tom birds, and just banging up against the window. And I mean, you could hardly work when a big tom standing 2 feet away from you on the other side of a pane of glass.
I mean, that is impressive. You guys probably don't realize that. Not so much the turkey attacking the glass, but he remembers way back then when he was office. What was that? How old were these guys?
They were probably being born.
Hershey, what did I mention to you this morning about you guys would have more memory of hunting technology improving?
Yeah, ours only goes back so far, so we'll tell half the story, and then you guys fill in the rest of the story before then.
Pre-6.5 Creedmoor, yeah. So.
I remember when the Creedmoor was... Really?
All right. Now, this next one, this is one I think we can all agree upon. Right here, the Little Debbie snack cake.
Oh, yeah.
The way it has changed our breakfast, our snacks, and this is the very healthy oatmeal cream pie, which is where Little Debbie got its start. To be honest with you, I mean, when you open them up, it sounds like 2 deer rattling or squirrels gnawing on something right there. It's got the cream on the inside, but that's one of those things that it's amazing how much food plays into not only the end of a successful hunt, but the middle. It keeps you out there a little bit
longer. Yes, amen.
And the convenience foods and the gas station foods that are now available. Never has life been better as a hunter.
Depends on what gas station food you're getting.
I'm gonna give you that one. There was a lot of days on stand where you're sitting there going, popping out those Little Debbies, and I mean, it was survival mode. I mean, you could make it another hour or two with those things. Absolutely.
So when you were kids hunting, you'd go out. How has it evolved? What were the snacks when you were?
There was no snacks.
There was just no.
Sometimes at the truck, if somebody thought about it for bird hunting, there might be some Halloween candy because it was really close. But unlike now, where Halloween candy is almost available year round, it was a couple of weeks before Halloween it came out, rather than right after the 4th of July. You didn't start seeing the Halloween decorations in the store.
Well, you got to remember when he and I were kids, there wasn't like you had access to all this stuff 24/7, right? I mean, these were special deals, right? If you had that kind of stuff, it was special event. So, and honestly, when both of us, I think, cut most of our teeth on upland bird hunting, pheasant hunting for the most part, when we were younger kids. But we would take a cooler with us, not one of these fancy type coolers, but I mean one that
keeps the ice cold for 30 minutes.
30, 40 minutes worth of cold. But we'd hunt all morning long, and then go back to the cooler, open it up and have sandwiches or whatever, with chips and sandwiches and pop. Yeah, and then radio would be playing on the truck for a Husker football game. And that was just heaven. I mean, absolutely nirvana. And then you were just kind of full, so you'd lay around listening to the game in the back of the tailgate or whatever, or in the truck and lay back, take a nap as you listen to the game. Then, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're heading back out, 3 o'clock, and hunting until dark. But, we didn't have a lot of snacks.
Sandwiches. And now you think of waterfowl hunting. I remember certain people you'd invite along because they'd all make salami sandwiches or their wives would for the group, which was really cool. But other than that, nowadays you hear about people when they're building the blind, where's the stove going? How are you piping in the gas? And can we go natural gas here? Or do we have to bring in propane?
If it was your turn to bring food for the blind and you brought sandwiches, you probably wouldn't get asked back. I mean, we're talking 3 or 4 course meals now in the turkey or the duck blind.
Bring it full circle. Now you guys have all seen the little grilling racks and stuff, the baking racks that they have for the little buddy heater. In fact, the ice fishermen have clung a hold of it. Some hunters as well. Breakfast burritos.
Well, now you got to have a fire extinguisher when you go hunting too.
It's not a bad idea the way we cook. But and I remember years ago we had one of our blinds and it was in the. It was supposed to be on the edge, but it got flooded, right? And so the blind got flooded with about 3 feet of water, and then it froze. so you had to walk out on ice to your blind. Then we kind of took an axe and picked out so we could climb into the water, the ice water inside the blind. And then you had a shelf of ice all around you, so you could use it as a shelf. We put our buddy heaters and everything on the shelf and sit and do that. But we couldn't cook. Our cook stove was underwater, right? And so we took paper clips and we hung them off the buddy heater, and then we'd hang biscuits on those paper clips. And we'd get about 6 of them on a buddy heater, and you could make biscuits. And then, if you had a can of gravy, you could set that on top of the buddy heater. You could make biscuits and gravy, and we did.
Wow. Were you on a hunt with us where we had to extinguish some blind?
I was there. Yeah, I was.
Oh, that's right. We did.
On fire.
We did. What happened? I was cooking, so obviously it's a pun at me.
It was a chilly morning, as I recall.
It was a chilly morning.
And the potatoes that you were cooking were still frozen.
That's right. And a ball of flame just went woof. And then it caught all the grassy stuff on the blind.
We were all out of the blind pretty quick after that.
There were a couple of kawooshes in there.
In hunter education, you don't really talk about fire safety, but I think we might need to add it to the curriculum.
It might be a new chapter right
I'd
there.
say all of us were out of the blind. I don't think Hershey left his seat.
Well, he was on the other side of the blind, so he was good.
But yeah, it kind of got the eyebrows and everything. It was right. Yeah, it wasn't good. Anyway, we don't talk about those kind of things, Hunter.
All right, we are running out of time. Who's got another? Who's got one they just got to share? We got probably time for one last. There's all sorts of these folks, and down below, make sure in the comments or whatever on Facebook, make a note of what you think has changed your hunting. Jeff.
I don't need to talk about it. Hot hands. Hot hands have had a huge impact on your feet. The ones that are the foot, the size of your foot insole.
The insoles.
Oh my gosh! If you got cold feet, that's nerves. That's nerves.
I'm with you there. Handy, cheap.
That might be number one.
Yeah, that's changed the way. I don't worry about
many
it.
A hunt.
Well, you used to buy the big moon boots because they're 1 billion grams of thin slate, and if it's minus 20 below. But a hot hand, you put that little heater inside your boot for $2 or whatever it costs, and all morning long in the deer stand, you're gonna be cold, but your feet are not gonna be hurting. And I've been in the deer stand when my feet were actually hurting. I mean, just like I can't take much more pain. I'm going to try, but I can't. Now with those, it's like, I don't think about it anymore. I don't worry about monster boots. I go with about 800 grams of thin slate boot, put one of those in, and I'm good to go.
There you go. I think we're going to end it right there. That's an excellent one to wrap everything up. Again, folks, if you've got some of your own, make sure you comment down below, add them to our Facebook page. If you got questions, comments, give us those as well. But get out there. It is hunting season, so make sure you're making some memories. But until next time,
Hunt Nebraska, brought to you by your Nebraska Game and Parks Commission.